Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to another epic battle in Elder Scrolls Total War. This is a 2 vs 2, and it was a scenario set up by the Red Celt, who is also playing in this battle. And he's kind of set up the scenario in light of the fact of the announcement of the new Elder Scrolls. It is set to release sometime in 2020. And there's a lot of speculation as to where it actually is going to take place. And with that in mind, the Red Celt has chosen a few factions whose origins are suggested that maybe they will be the setting point for the new Elder Scrolls. So we've got a couple of the Redguard factions from Hammerfell, and then I think one of the Elven factions as well, which we will look at more in detail in the army comps. So I hope you guys do enjoy. It's been a while since I've had an Elder Scrolls battle on the channel, so be sure to leave a like and a comment if you'd like to see more. And without further ado, let's take a look at the army comps. The first army on the battlefield today is the Clan of the Crowned, and this one is commanded by myself. So this is one of the Redguard factions that is from Hammerfell, I believe. And I've got a pretty solid army, a good mix of infantry and cavalry. Right in the front lines, I have 4 units of these Crowned Spearmen. So they're quite cheap, but they're a good frontline unit. And right in behind that, I have 4 units of Crowned Warriors. So these are my swordsmen. Again, cheap, just like the spears, but they will hold their own in melee. And my most elite units are behind that. I've got 4 units of Hammerfell Swordsmen, which is a heavy infantry unit. And then far on the other side here, I've got 3 units of the Crowned Halberdiers, which I've got more on the flanks to help win the cavalry engagement. And speaking of my cavalry, I've got some very elite cavalry for this battle. I've got 4 units of Cataphracts. So Hammerfell looks like they do have some really solid cavalry. And my general is over here in the center, the Hammerfell Bodyguard. And these are kind of interesting looking units. Interesting choice for the dress code, but a very cool unit nonetheless. So that is it for my army, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. The second army on the battlefield today and fighting alongside myself is the Clan of the Forebears, commanded by Dorito Lord 50. So another Redguard faction, so we've got 2 Redguard factions on a team here today. And in the front lines, he's got 3 units of the Hammerfell Bowmen, which look like a pretty solid bow infantry unit. And right in behind, he's also bringing 3 units of Hammerfell Swordsmen. He's also got a couple units of Forebear Swordsmen here. You can see them moving into position. He's also brought a few units of Pikemen, Forebear Pikemen, 3 units in the center. And then on the flanks, he's brought 1 unit of Hammerfell Spearmen, so that totals 2. And then he's got some Nomad Light Cavalry here. He's also got the Hammerfell Bodyguard with their interesting uniforms. And he's also got some Alakir Lancers as well, which is a light cavalry unit. So very solid army altogether, but again, very infantry focused. I think I have a little bit more cavalry than he does, but that is it for our armies, so let's go ahead and take a look at the enemies. Deployed down in the valley below here, we've got the Aldmeri Dominion, commanded by Son of Celebrimbor, and he's brought a pretty solid force, but it is consisting all of infantry. He actually doesn't have any cavalry whatsoever, although he did say during the battle that he had a couple of hidden units, so I'm not exactly sure, but from what I can see, it is only infantry. But in the front lines, he's got a very solid front line here. He's got, I believe, 4 units of Dominion Spearmen, and then right in behind, he's got 3 units of Aldmeri Heavy Pikemen. Following that up, he's got 3 units of Aldmeri Heavy Swordsmen. And it looks like a few units just popped into view here. We've got some Elven Wood Guardians archers, so 2 units of them. At the very rear of his army, he's got 3 units of Aldmeri Heavy Archers. And he's also got some Fighter Swordsmen. This is like kind of a mercenary unit that's available to all factions, or at least most of the factions. And right over here, he's got a unit of Justicars. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that these are mages, or a mage unit. So that is it for Son of Celebrimbor's army, so let's go ahead and take a look at the final enemy. The final enemy army on the battlefield today is also the Aldmeri Dominion, commanded by the Red Celt, and he's brought a pretty balanced force with cavalry and infantry, as well as archers. In the front lines here, he's actually got 3 units of Aldmeri Lancers, which is a heavy cavalry unit. And he's also brought a unit of Eldenwood Hunters, which is a bow unit, so that will be a little bit annoying. It's interesting that they're actually riding deer, so really cool touch there. And I think most of his cavalry is over on this flank. So in the center, he's got a few units of archers. He's got these Valenwood archers, which are very bright green. They look really cool. And then he's got 2 units of the standard Dominion archers. And he's moving all of his heavy infantry over here. He has 4 units of the Aldmeri heavy pikemen, 4 units of Dominion swordsmen over here. And then right in behind, he's got the Aldmeri heavy swordsman, which is his most elite infantry. And far behind that, he's got a couple units of Mirror Logicians and First Hold Wizards. So these guys are pretty powerful, but they have been nerfed as when, I believe, 1.4, version 1.4 came out. I think when the original 1.0 came out, these guys had like the range of the entire battlefield, and they just had the ability to just destroy entire armies. So they're not as powerful now. Their range has been substantially reduced, but they still are a formidable force on the battlefield. So that is it, guys. So hopefully you do enjoy this battle. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield. So I'm moving all of my cataphracts over to one flank. Reason for that being is because the Red Celt, who I am facing off again on this little cliff face here, he's actually got all of his Aldmeri Lancers on one flank as well, and I want to make sure that I have enough cavalry on this flank to best his cavalry. I've also got my Crowned Halberdiers over here, the 3 units, so I'm hoping that they will give me the edge against the Aldmeri Dominion. But my infantry is a little poor. I recognize right off the bat by seeing his army that I'm definitely outranged because I didn't bring any archers whatsoever. I just brought a shock army. I wanted to charge forwards as quickly as possible and get into melee. But these units here, I've heard and you will see, are very, very deadly. And also I am petrified of these mages here. The mages, they have the ability to just destroy the morale of entire units. So as soon as the go-ahead was initiated for the battle to begin, I am charging forwards my main line as quickly as possible. Now, I'm leading with my Hammerfell swordsmen, which probably isn't the best decision, although I can't remember if the Hammerfell swordsmen are the cheaper ones, and then the Crowned Warriors are the more expensive ones. I may have gotten that mixed up in the army comp. But I think the Crowned units are the better units, and these Hammerfell swordsmen are the cheaper ones. But just look at this. Just machine gun fire from the hilltop here as the Elves destroy my Hammerfell swordsmen here. They're already down to 109, so they've lost about 50 men. And yeah, this is just a bloodbath. I felt so bad for my infantry as they were trying to make it into melee here. But here we go. We've actually got the cavalry engagement starting almost right away here. We've got the Aldmeri Lancers charging right into my cataphracts. These cataphracts look awesome, too, with, like, the wings on their backs and stuff. Really, really cool modeling. The good thing is, though, is that I've got my my Crowned Halberdiers here in melee, so that should help me to win against the Aldmeri Lancers. And a little bit of a mistake here from the Red Celt. He actually charged his cavalry forward so much that I was able to get my Hammerfell bodyguard, this is my general here, right between the lines of infantry and the cavalry and get right into melee against his Mirror Logicians. So this unit is not able to fire now because they are locked in melee. You can see that the Red Celt is also trying to withdraw his Valenwood archers from the battle. However, this unit of First Hold Wizards is still available to fire down, although it looks like they are not as of right now. They may actually be obstructed because of the units that are in front. But there you go. You can see the Elven warriors there cutting down my brave Redguard warriors. Now, this was a little bit concerning here. You can see where Son of Celebrimbor is formed up, and my ally is a very far distance away, and I was really worried at first that the other Aldmeri Dominion army, little brain fart there, Son of Celebrimbor, he's the one who is commanding this army. I thought he would have brought his army up around the flanks and just sandwiched my army between the Red Celts, but he actually didn't do that, and the Red Celt, well done here. He's pushing some of his Dominion swordsmen around the flanks.
Our general lies slain upon the battlefield.
And there we go. My general has actually been slain already, which is not a good sign. These archers here, the Valenwood Light Archers, and we've got the Dominion Archers just pouring more and more arrows into my ranks. But there we go. Nice charge by the Cataphracts into the first hold wizards. So that was a huge hit there, a lot of them getting knocked down, but my cavalry has pretty much wrapped up this flank very quickly with the help of the crowned halberdiers. You can see I've actually got some of my cataphracts here, 3 units fighting the final unit of Aldmeri Lancers, which is now broken. They are fighting to death, and I've got my crowned halberdiers over here flanking around and fighting the Dominion archers in melee. Oh, big hits there.
The enemy general flees like the coward he is. Press onward and break the spirit of his army.
And there we go. I evened the score there by killing the Red Celt's general, so a lot of his men are starting to waver. He's very smart trying to pull back some of his units of Dominion archers to be able to fire down me for longer, but now I'm just able to close in on the flanks of these very elite Aldmeri heavy swordsmen. Now, they had been holding the line. Look at all of the men I have in my front line versus this very thin unit of the Aldmeri heavy swordsmen. But there we go, we're starting to see some of them rout, and this battle has barely begun over here. The Red Celt actually able to rout the Alakir Lancers very quickly. Looks like they were trying to charge around and they got hung up on the pikemen, and then these archers have just slaughtered them as they tried to escape. But here we go. Looks like we got some more Nomad Light Cavalry coming in. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be charging right into the pikemen once again. So that isn't the best decision there. It's possible that he didn't notice that there were spearmen on that flank. And there we go. The Nomad Light Cavalry has broken as well. So the Red Celt is struggling a little bit up on the hilltop there, but the Son of Celebrimbor is holding his line down here in the valley. But we've got a lot of Hammerfell infantry that is just coming to form up. Looks like we've got the Hammerfell bowmen ready to fire down onto the ranks of the Elven swords. It looks like they're actually charging forwards as well. So we've got an all-out charge from the Son of Celebrimbor's forces. Here we go, we got some Forebear swordsmen charging into the Eldenwood Guardians, which is another unit that I believe was hidden. So we've got an all-out brawl down here. Let's quickly run up and take a look at what's going on up on the hilltop here. Yeah, so I've pretty much cleaned up the Red Celt's forces here. I was really surprised, as was he, I think, at how quickly his heavy swordsman units retreated. They didn't hold for very long, but I think it was due to the fact that my Cataphracts were just able to harass their lines so quickly. Like, my Hammerfell bodyguard is still alive with 64 men, however, my general is not alive, but my Cataphract's still 74 on one of the units. The other unit's 56, 58, so they are still quite healthy. And you can see that I'm bringing my Cataphracts over around the flank to get behind Son of Celebrimbor's forces. But well done here. He's actually got a couple units of heavy pikemen forming up, so he's ready to fight a two-front war. This is going to be an epic last stand by him. And now the Red Celt has done a bit of damage to my army. It's about 24% of my army has been lost because Dorito Lord 50 has just moved his army into melee, so he hasn't really lost too much at this point. But very gutsy move by Son of Celebrimbor in charging him, so he's actually taking the offensive stance there. And there we go, we've got the mages getting some good hits onto the Alakir Lancers there. Yeah, these guys are terrifying. And it looks like they throw their swords, but then it actually turns into like this fiery bolt. But it looks like the Alakir Lancers are going to engage the Justicars in melee, so that is too bad. Son of Celebrimbor probably would have done better to pull them back earlier, but it's possible that he wasn't really watching that side, as he's just paying attention to the horde of Cataphracts that are coming around the flanks here. And unfortunately, he doesn't really have any cavalry, so he can't really stop this from happening. But I am not going to be charging the heavy pikemen. I'm going to be going right for his archers, which are actually getting some really decent flanking fire into my Cataphracts there. But here we go. Cataphracts coming down. They are exhausted from their previous battles, but they still managed to get a decent charge there. And look at that. 2 units have shattered, although actually no, these 2 probably were broken from the front lines against Dorito Lord. But yeah, that unit definitely has broken. And my cataphracts are just running amok here. It looks like the pikemen are trying to reform themselves, but I'm bringing some of my very tired crowned halberdiers over to engage the pikemen in melee. So let's follow that. Let's see the charge of my crowned halberdiers as the heavy pikemen try to form up to hold in this last stand. And just look at the hilltop up there, guys. You can see the horde of Hammerfell swordsmen just descending the hilltop behind the lines of the Aldmeri Dominion. That would be a terrifying sight to behold if you were an elf in this battle. But there we go. We've got my crowned halberdiers going toe-to-toe with the elite heavy pikemen. My army is getting tired, the guy says, which no doubt it is. They just fought a battle, and now they're running downhill into melee to engage these units of pikemen. But Dorito Lord, he's doing quite well, I would say. He's getting some help from my cataphracts over here that have charged into the fighter swordsmen on the flanks, as well as the Eldenwood archers.
Only half the enemy force remains.
We're up to 34% damage, and it looks like a lot of forebear swordsmen here moving into melee. They're a little bit clumped up. Might have been a little bit better if he spread them out just a bit, but he is doing quite well, cutting down these Aldmeri heavy swordsmen, the heavy archers. And here we go. Yep. Lines are starting to be formed, and there we go. Son of Celebrimbor's general has been slain on the battlefield, and we've got this beautiful front line that's been formed here as my men move into melee. And if you look up on the right-hand side, you can see some of my cataphracts actually closing the jaws. Oh, just awesome. Just a really awesome and epic battle. What a last stand here. But this battle definitely could have been a loss for us. I fully expected Son of Celebrimbor to just quickly move his army around and pincer me between the Red Celt's forces and his own. But he was kind of just content to stay there and wait for Dorito Lord and his forces to come down and engage him. So I'm not sure if he was maybe respecting the 1v1, but I'm all for a good double team. There we go, though. A lot of the archers have been broken. Now they're fighting to the death. And it looks like Dorito Lord's forces are going to be able to push through this main line. Over on this side, these pikemen are holding against my units of crowned spearmen and crowned swordsmen. However, I think just the sheer mass of our numbers is starting to crack the formation. You can see that they're having a real hard time actually holding the formation, and there we go. It looks like most of the soldiers are breaking. And if you look over here as well, I've got my cataphracts that have come in from behind, and just the thunder of their hooves is enough to break this last unit of heavy pikemen that was holding there in melee.
Behold how our cowardly foe runs. It's time to press the attack.
And we're just kind of wrapping up the last bits here. I think the Red Celt did have his unit of horse archers that were still alive for quite some time, and he had a couple of units over here that had been running away, but he just turned them around and pushed them into melee because there's no sense in continuing to run anymore. And they were cut down by my Hammerfell swordsmen, who are exhausted. They've been running around this entire battlefield. But yeah, a lot of carnage up here on the hill as the Red Celt just butchered my forces as they tried to get into melee here. You can see all these scattered bodies on the field here are all my own. And there we go. That is victory. Victory for the Hammerfell, for the Redguards. So there we go. So we actually deployed similar sized armies there. I did lose the most men, but I also got the most kills, which was nice. Just able to get through the Red Celt's army quick enough to help Dorito Lord in taking on Son of Celebrimbor's forces. And let's take a look at these statistics here. Hammerfell swordsmen, yeah, doing really well. 130 kills for each of them. I'm interested in my cavalry, though. Actually, not as high as I would have thought. Oh, hold on. That's casualty sustained. My bad. So yeah, look at the Hammerfell bodyguard. 384 kills there. A couple of my halberdiers getting over 100 kills. Swordsmen getting 130 kills. But yeah, it all came down to my cataphracts there. 353, 186, 104, 99. So really, really good cavalry. Now, I don't know how balanced these factions are with each other. I think the Red Celt was telling me that the Aldmeri Dominion, their units are very, very pricey, whereas I found that the Hammerfell forces, they were pretty moderately priced. I was able to get a full stack and also put, I think, armor and attack upgrades on most of my infantry. So I think maybe there is a little bit to be adjusted as far as the price goes, but a very, very fun battle nonetheless. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next one.